Hey everyone, Coach Kirsten here, and this is my race report for the St. George 70.3 half Ironman distance triathlon that happened on May 4th, 2024. So this was the 11th time that I've been able to race in St. George, whether it's a full or a half Ironman. And for those of you who know me, you know that this race is one of my total favorites. I have two favorite races. This is one of them. And so I always go out hoping to do really well and always end up enjoying the day because it is completely my type of course. It is hilly on the bike and the run, which I like. It typically gets hot in the afternoon, which I do really well in heat, and the water for the swim's a little bit chillier, and I'm fine with that. And so just all over, it's a race I love anyway. So last year I won my age group and I was thrilled about it, and I really wanted to win my age group again this year. But I ended up having surgery in December for my spine. This is my battle wound. And my surgery was originally supposed to be in October, but I had COVID, and so they had to push it out till December. So it was 20 weeks before my race. So I wasn't really sure how my recovery was going to go. You just never know when you have surgery. So I initially didn't have high expectations, but of course I always want to still try to do the best I can and still go in and be competitive. So as I was healing, I was doing time trials throughout my training. Once I was able to start biking with intensity, I started doing biking time trials. Once I was able to swim better because I kind of had to ease back into it, I was doing some swimming time trials. And then 8 weeks ago, I was able to start running. So I was doing some tests to see where I was at. And I actually wasn't too far behind where I was last year. So that was really exciting and motivating. So I ended up 2 weeks before the race, I did a full 70.3 distance at the gym, just to get an idea of where I was at and how it was feeling and to test my nutrition. And I ended up doing it in 5 hours and 41 minutes. So I figured that come race day, if everything went well, I could do it in 5 hours and 30 minutes. So that was my goal going into the race, was 5 hours and 30 minutes for the race. And then I also, within my age group, just looking back at all the past years, with a 5:30, I could still get top 5, maybe top 3. So I was really hopeful going into the race. I felt great. My training was exactly how I planned it to be. So going into the race, I was feeling really strong. So leading up to the race, my friend Ashley and I, we typically go to this race together. We drove in on Wednesday so that we would have a couple days to just like relax and not be rushed with everything. And we did a practice swim on Wednesday evening, and the water was way warmer than I expected because sometimes this water is like 57, 58, and race morning it was actually I think they said 61.2 or something very specific. So the water was a lot warmer than expected. So that was nice. The forecast showed that weather was going to be pretty perfect, like partly cloudy in the 80s. So I was really excited for a good day. So the day before, in a long distance race like this, you have to drop off all your gear so that it's already there in the morning, which is nice. Then you don't have to worry about it once you're done. So I went to go pump up my tires to drop off my bike on Friday, and I had a staple in my rear tire. So I pulled it out, and I have tubeless tires, so it has this like gooey stuff in it that's supposed to block the seal. So I kind of spun my tires, and I didn't hear any like air coming out. So I pumped it up and it held in there, and I was like, oh good, no problem. So dropped off all our stuff. We had a great relaxing afternoon because we dropped off all our stuff by noon. So like Friday afternoon was just super chill. So Saturday morning, I get to the race and my back tire was flat, and I was freaking out because I'm no bike tech. I'm like horrible at like bike mechanic stuff. So I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I took it to the bike tech, and there was still a little bit of the staple in there. So he pulled that out, and like the goo stuff was coming out, but it wasn't making a seal. And he was like, I think you should just put a tube in here. And so I wouldn't have been able to do that because he had to like use his plier things, whatever they're called, to like take off the nozzle stemmy thing. And then there was like goo stuff everywhere. I don't know. He spent like a half an hour on it, and I am beyond grateful. Like, that's my hugest thing. I'm so grateful that this guy fixed everything, and my tire held, and it was awesome. So I was a little freaking out, but I mean, what could I do? Like, I can't control everything, right? But by the time we got out to go start the swim, my tire was full and had a tube in it. So I was really really grateful. So went up, seated myself where I always do, like 30 to 33 minutes on the swim. Last year I had a panic attack on the swim and ended up hanging on a kayak for a couple minutes. I've been working on that a lot. So the last couple weeks, the whole bus ride out to the res, I was just visualizing my plan for if I had a panic attack and how I was going to deal with that. So I had a really good plan going into it. So I lined myself up where I normally do, but instead of like running into the water when there's like this thing that beeps and then you run in, instead of running in and like diving in and starting to swim, even though I've been practicing like starting to swim really slow, I decided not to run in, not to dive into the water. So I walked slowly. I sat in the water up to my waist for about 30 seconds or so, just taking some slow, deep breaths. And then I didn't like dive in and start. I just went underwater and kind of just started moving. And it was really helpful. I did not have a panic attack. A couple times I felt a little panicky, but I have a plan where I distract myself. I have a song I sing. So I was just singing my song the whole time. It was hard to see the buoys. We were like going right into the sun, but I was fine. I managed to stay pretty much on course and swim very uneventful. It was pretty much it was the same time I got last year. It's the same time I expected with my slow start. I did it in 33 minutes, and I was the second fastest swimmer in my age group. So I always look at stats after. So I was really excited about that. So 33-minute swim. I went out like at a moderate effort. And then on the way back, I picked it up because I knew, okay, I'm feeling good now. I'm not going to have a panic attack. I can pick it up. So I felt really strong on the swim. But since I've been swimming a lot, but I haven't done any like continuous swims like in open water because this race is so early. My forearms, I could barely squeeze my hands when I first got out. My forearms and my lats were so pumped from the swim, which felt amazing because I felt like I swam as hard as I could. So that was great. So ran through transition. It gets kind of bottled up because it's hard to pass people in transition because it's really narrow. And then the gates that hold in transition, they have these leg things. So if you went to go past someone, you could potentially like step on or trip on the leg thing because you'd have to step off the mat. So I didn't pass anyone in transition in the running into transition. And so I was kind of bottlenecked. So I just walked a little bit, which I don't like to do. I like to run through transition. So my transition was probably pretty average, what I thought it would be. I think it was like 3 something, maybe 4. No, I don't think it was. I think it was 3 something. I don't know. I should probably look if I'm going to be sharing it. But it felt great. Everything went fine. My bike tire was nice and full. Packed up my nutrition and headed off on the bike. And this is one of my very favorite bike courses. I felt really strong on the bike. I haven't been practicing in aero position very much because that's my neck. So my neck surgery was because I was having so many neck problems. I couldn't stay in aero position on the bike for more than like 3 or 4 minutes for the past 2.5 years. And it was just always like so painful. I would always have to get up and stretch out my shoulder while I was riding. So in training for this, I maybe was in aero for like 5 or 10 minutes at a time. So this was kind of my big test to see how my neck surgery went. And it actually, like the whole bike ride, I'm really sore today, but nothing ever hurt. Nothing was painful. It just feels like I was in the aero position for 2.5 hours and I wasn't used to it. So my neck's sore and tight from that, but no pain at all, which is hallelujah, which is amazing. So the bike ride, it was perfect day, like I didn't feel any wind. I don't know if there's any wind. I felt really strong on the climbs. Everything was pretty uneventful because I knew what the course was. I planned for it. I trained for it. When I did my practice, 70.3 distance at the gym 2 weeks before, I nailed my nutrition. I was like, I might need like an extra 200 calories on the bike. So I took 200 extra calories on the bike, and I actually wish I would have had maybe 200 more. So my I drank 3 bottles of my Infinite, which has 300 calories each. So that's 900 calories. And then I had 2 Morton gels. So that's 1,100 calories. And I still finished the bike feeling like I could have maybe used 200 more calories. So maybe 1,300 calories will be my goal for next time. So, but I didn't have any stomach problems, which is always a plus. So bike felt strong. The last 10 miles is pretty much downhill in this course. So, I felt really great, like heading into transition. I stayed aero most of the downhill, which is always a challenge for me because I get kind of nervous on the big downhills, staying in my aero bars, but, my neck did great. My legs felt good. And I felt excited to get off and run. So got into transition. I think my transition was maybe 2 or 3 minutes for the my bike time was 2:52, I think. No, 2:51. And I think last year it was like 2:47. So not much of a difference for what I've gone through this year. So I was super thrilled with that. And grabbed a pickle juice. I wish I would have had 2 more pickle juices. So I had 2 pickle juices total, and I would have loved 2 more. So note to self, that's why I do these videos, so I can watch me like, oh yeah, you need to do that. So I had a pickle juice in transition, got changed. I grabbed my Infinite. I had 2 hours worth of my powder. So on the way out of transition, I just poured some water in there and mixed it up. So it was like concentrate that I was going to drink throughout with water at each aid station. So my plan was every other aid station, take a Morton gel and then just drink my regular Infinite stuff. So that's my Infinite has like 175 calories per hour, so like 350 calories, and then I took 6 Morton gels, so like a little over 1,000. And then at the end, I was cramping a lot, or was super close to cramping a lot at the end, so I drank a lot of Gatorade. So I probably had 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe 1,100 calories on the run, and I probably could have, I think if I started off with a few hundred more calories, I would have been perfect on the run. But since I started off, like I felt like I needed a little bit more. So maybe another 100 extra calories on the run. So the first part of the run is uphill for like 2.5 miles. And it was brutal. Like I was just like, I don't wear a watch when I race. So I didn't know I was going at the pace, my goal pace, but it didn't feel like it. It felt like I was so slow. It was so hard. My knee was hurting a little bit. I don't know why it didn't hurt at the end, but at the first 6 or 7 miles, my knee was hurting. My quads were really tired. My calves, my glutes, everything was like feeling like it could cramp. So that's why I started, taking my nutrition right away. That's why I wish I would have had a couple more pickle juices, maybe a couple more 100 calories. So that run is really hilly, lots of ups, lots of downs. And the first loop was really hard for me, the first 6.5 miles, just because I haven't been doing that much intensity as what I had done the day. So my body was tired. It was definitely feeling it. But I was kind of pushing right at my edge. So just kept going. I ended up the last 4 miles. It's pretty much like 2 miles up, 2 miles down, but like in ups and downs. So I was really counting off like the minutes and, doing a lot of mental work to help my body relax, because I felt like every time I tried to push a little bit, I would almost cramp. So my quads, my inner thighs, my hamstrings, my calves, like everything was just really close to cramping. So I was just taking in as much nutrition as I could handle. It was warm. It was like it was like 85, I think, by the time we were running. But I just always put ice down my shirt. They had a hat dipping station with ice water. You could put your hat in the ice water. So I did that every time. Just kept myself super, super wet with water. And that keeps me cool, and just kept piling in the nutrition as much as I could. And the last 2 miles are downhill. So I was like, just make it to that. And I tried to open up a little bit because energy wise, I was feeling really, really good. And plus it was only 2 miles left. But anytime I tried to stride it out, my quad would just like come so close to cramping. So I was just like, okay, I don't want to cramp out like a quarter mile from the finish and be laying there not able to finish. So I just took really small steps, small, fast steps, did a lot of breathing, a lot of mental work about keeping my body relaxed. Took a lot of extra Gatorade at the aid stations, and ended up finishing. My run was 1:52, I believe, which it was like, again, like 5 minutes slower than last year, but I just started running 8 weeks ago, so I was thrilled with it. And I don't wear a watch when I race, so I actually had no idea any of these times until the finish. But I felt really strong the whole time. So, and not a lot of women, usually like toward the end of the bike ride, like the last 10 miles, women start passing me. And in the whole ride, only 6 women passed me. And so that told me that my ride was really good. And then the run, like, you can't really tell. It's 2 loops. You're passing a bunch of people are passing you. Everyone's just trying to get through and survive. But I felt like I had done pretty well. So when I finished, I went and looked at my time. My overall time was 5:23, which was 7 minutes faster than my goal. So I was beyond thrilled with that. And then ended up first place in my age group. So again, like beyond my best expectations for what could have happened for the day. So everything other than the freak out about the tire at the start, the whole race went exactly as I had planned and had practiced and intended. And it was a great day. And I knew a bunch of people out there, spectators, quite a few athletes I knew were racing, that I ended up, there's a lot of out and backs on the run. So you could see people, cheer people on. And if you've never done the St. George 70.3, the spectators and the volunteers, in my opinion, are the best out there. Like any race I've ever done, I always feel really welcome there, really loved, supported. There were some spectators that were like, and it was May 4th, so everyone was like, there's tons of people dressed in like Star Wars stuff, and like tons of kids at the aid stations just cheering, and people like going above and beyond, just like being funny and fun and silly. And so another great experience for me at St. George. And I encourage everyone to do this race. It is amazing, beautiful. And if you have any questions about the race, I've done it a ton of times, so I could answer probably a lot of questions. So hit me up with any questions, and thank you for watching my race report. See you guys next time. Bye.